Good evening, good evening, good evening to everyone. Welcome to Self-Care Sunday. I'm Sharon Brumfield of Clear Thinking Counseling Services, and I'm excited to have you all join this evening. Whether you're watching later on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Last week we started our first week in the boundary series. I didn't really know it was going to be a series, but as I began to study and look at this single word boundaries, it just began to open up for me. So last week we defined what boundaries are. We looked at why we need boundaries, and then we looked at some appropriate and some inappropriate boundaries. And you can find that chart that I got. It's on my Facebook page, Clear Thinking Counseling Services. You can go there. While you're there, go ahead and like the page so you can stay up to date on what's happening with Clear Thinking Counseling Services. And so that chart was really an eye-opener for me, because we can have some inappropriate boundaries that we think are okay, and then we can have appropriate boundaries that really help us develop and help us in our relationships. But tonight, we're going to keep in the boundaries, and we're going to go with part 2. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick right there. All right, so there we are. Tonight, we're going to be talking about boundaries. And we're going to look at these red flags. Now, I remember maybe it was a couple of months ago where on all social media platforms, there were these jokes going around about if this happened, then they put the red flag. If this happened, they put the red flag. And we look at other people and their red flags, but I want us to, do something a little different and look at ourselves and see what sort of red flags that we are displaying to other people. And one of those red flags is when we don't have boundaries. When we don't have boundaries, not setting boundaries is a red flag. It really is. It is a huge red flag. Other people can see when we're not setting boundaries, and we don't always acknowledge what's happening to us, that it's a result of us not setting boundaries. We just think people are doing what they do to us, but it's really the idea of not setting boundaries. So let's look at a few areas. No boundaries equal fear, rejection, and ridicule. All right, so we may not set boundaries because we're fearful. We may not set boundaries because we think we're going to be rejected, or we may be ridiculed. Okay. All right, let's look at each of those areas by themselves. Fear of the unknown. What will happen if I set boundaries? What will happen if I tell this person, I really don't like what you just said to me? What you said made me fill in the blank. Or if we are setting boundaries, remember we talked about boundaries are like the line we draw in the sand. And those boundaries keep people out of these areas in our lives, or it keeps them from taking advantage of us. It keeps them from hurting us. And so what will happen if I set these boundaries in my marriage? What will happen if I set these boundaries in my friendships? What will happen if I set these boundaries at work? How will they react to me? How will they respond to me? That's a fear. And that's one of the reasons why people don't set boundaries. The fear of what will happen when I set that boundary. Fear of rejection. Will they leave me? Will they stop talking to me? Will they huddle up with their other friends and everybody leave me off to the side, rejected, abandoned by myself? What will happen? Will they leave me? Will they, when I'm in my relationships with my friends, if I begin to set boundaries, what will people do? Will they think that I'm rejecting them? Will I hurt their feelings? Will I make them sad? Will I hurt them in some type of way? Those are different things that may go through a person's mind when we know we need to set a boundary, because over and over and over again, this specific thing is happening to us and we don't like it, but our focus is on what the other person is going to feel. The idea of being a people pleaser. You know, I want everyone else to be happy. I want to, make sure that they are satisfied, to make sure that everything is going well for them. Whereas for myself, I'll go ahead and I'll take the brunt of it. Or I'll be sad this time, but because I can make sure that I'm okay later. But what we don't realize, that the more that we begin to put ourselves on the back burner, that stuff doesn't go away. It doesn't magically disappear, just because we haven't dealt with it or we don't see it. Sometimes we think it's not happening, but the more we stuff, the more maybe anxiety may come, the more fear may come, outbursts may come, depression may come, silent treatment may come. You may go off to yourself and be alone by yourself. Those are things that can come about if we continue to stuff those things that are happening to us down while we're making sure that other people are okay. And it's not selfish. It's not selfish to want to make sure that you're okay. It's not selfish to make sure that, your mind, your emotions are healthy. That's a good thing. It helps us stay healthy in our physical body. It helps us to exhibit healthy relationships with other people. And it just allows us to be a better person that we bring to the table. All right. So the first one was the fear of the unknown. We may not set boundaries because we're afraid of we don't know what's going to happen when we set those boundaries. 2, fear of rejection. We may fear being rejected by the ones we're setting the boundaries with. And then fear of ridicule. Will they talk about me? Nobody wants to be talked about. No, we don't want to walk into a room and then all of a sudden it's silent. Like, okay, are they talking about me? I can't feel the temperature in this room. I'm not really sure what's happening. And it makes us feel self-conscious. It can make us feel insecure. So many times boundaries aren't set, especially if they're not set in the beginning of the relationship. Having that conversation back and forth, or even when you get to know a person, seeing how they react to certain things and just asking, is that okay? It seemed like you had a different look on your face. When I said that, did it hurt your feelings? Or when I said that, is that a soft spot for you? Is that a hurt area for you? Just knowing what's going on with people. You can be in a conversation with someone, and this has happened to me on several occasions, just a basic conversation, the person says something, and all of a sudden you bust out crying. And they're like, wait, whoa, what just happened? Well, that reminds you of something, some type of hurt that you've had, or, of some type of experience that you had that was hurtful, and they didn't know. And so having that conversation instead of just, walking out angry and mad, now they don't know what happened. You know what happened, but they don't even know that was a boundary. They have no clue. So opening up our mouths and finding our voice is going to be important when we're looking at setting boundaries in our lives. And so today we're still in our foundation. We're looking at the definition of boundaries. We're looking at different areas of why we may not set boundaries and what happens when we don't set boundaries. And then next week, we'll dig into actually setting boundaries. How do you go about setting those boundaries? How do you go about, having that confidence and that courage and even the boldness to say to people, well, I don't like that, and being okay with whatever happens, not being mean and certainly not being selfish, but just saying, you know what, I don't like that. Why should we sit and allow people to do things to us over and over and over again that we just don't like? It's not healthy for us to do that. I came across this little testimony, and it's really going to circle around everything that we talked about last week and this week. All right. So, let me see if I can move my, nope. I wanted to move my thing up there, but it wouldn't let me move it. And so I'm just going to have to talk through that testimony. So it's Nancy, I believe her name is Levine, and she's married. She's in this marriage, and what she would do is all the time put herself on the back burner. And one of the quotes that I really wanted to read out loud that she would say is, as long as my husband is okay, I'm okay. As long as my husband is okay, I'm okay. I don't know how many other women have said that before, but that is just not, that's not true. As long as he's okay, you're okay. No, because as long as you're just trying to make sure he's okay, there are things that you may want to say, there are things that you may want to do, but you won't do them because you're doing everything to make sure he's okay. Putting yourself on the back burner. And she said she did that for many, many years. For many, many years. It was all about, I am going to make him happy. However, what happened is she opened up the door for herself to become angry, to become sad, and to have this depressed state because everything that she was tied up into his happiness. She lost herself in the marriage because she was no longer visible. She had no feelings. She had no desires. She no longer had purpose because everything she did was based on his happiness. If his happiness was having her go to the store all the time and get things whenever he wanted it, then that was her desire. It didn't matter what she was doing because what she was doing wasn't important anymore. And it also opened up the door for what's on the screen right here. When you don't have boundaries, people are allowed to take advantage of you. We allow people to take advantage of us when we don't set clear boundaries. In the first week, last week, we said anything goes. They could treat us however they want to treat us if we no longer are setting boundaries. We're not thinking of ourselves as important, valuable people who should be able to speak and be ourselves, open up to our potential and our possibilities. In a marriage, in a friendship is not just in a marriage. You can lose yourself in a friendship. When you're in this friendship and all you do is what the friend wants to do, there's never asking, oh, well, what do you want to do today? Where do you want to go eat today? Wherever you want to go is fine. No, take a pause and think about, what do you want to eat? You lose yourself because now you don't know what you want. You don't know what you like. You don't know what you want to have. Those things are all wrapped up, tied up nicely in the other person in that relationship. And it's not always because it's one person is older and one person is younger. No, it's just the idea of one individual putting themselves on the back burner and putting the other person on a pedestal and allowing them to run not only their life, the person's individual's life, but your life as well. And we have to be very careful about that. We've got to look at those areas in our lives and see, where am I putting myself off? Have you ever had the opportunity to sit down and just ask yourself some simple questions? What do I like to eat? What things do I like to eat? Or do I only like chicken because that's where my friend or my spouse or my mom or my dad goes. You know, is that my favorite food, or have I just adopted their favorite food? You know, what do I like to wear? Am I wearing the things that I really like, or am I just wearing the things that the people around me wear or say I look good in? I've tried some new things. My husband is always telling me, try some new things. But I was so stuck on this one style that I like. I'm comfortable with it. I know it. And I said, let me go and find some new things. And I did like them. So going and just looking and trying things on and seeing, do I really like that? Well, I know it's different, but yeah, I like that. That looks nice on me. Instead of doing the same thing over and over because maybe your mom likes you to wear these specific types of clothes. Growing up, maybe, you know, the term tomboy, you were a tomboy, but your mom liked you to wear dresses, so you continue to wear dresses even though you don't really like dresses. You like pants. You don't even have to be, you know, what the so-called tomboy. You could just like pants because you like pants. You like the way they look on you. You know that they're comfortable for you. And so, but you don't wear them because of what somebody else is saying. That's putting your life in someone else's hands. That's allowing someone else to dictate what you should and should not do, what you should and should not wear, where you should be, who you should be with. You know, of course, you want to be in places that are safe and that sort of thing. But I'm talking in general, like, you know, someone just trying to direct your life when you are more than capable of directing your life. With boundaries, other people may not be happy when I hold them accountable. Okay? When we have boundaries, is not going to necessarily make other people happy. It's not going to make someone happy if they want you to do A, B, and C, but you tell them, I'm not able to do A, B, and C. They come to you at the last minute with something and expect you to get it done. Well, no, I'm not able to do that at the last minute. And being okay with saying that you're not able to do it, and whatever reaction or response they have that comes with that accountability. If we aren't holding people accountable to our boundaries, again, we have no boundaries. Now they don't believe that you're going to hold them accountable. They say, oh, you said that before, so I'm just going to keep asking you and you're going to eventually fold. There was this one example that I read of a young lady who was taking care of her sister's kids every weekend. Every weekend, her sister would say, oh, I got some plans. I bought tickets to the movies and I really want to go to the movies. I need a break. Can you watch the kids? And of course, the sister would watch the kids, but for the entire weekend, not just for one night, for the entire weekend. And maybe Friday is gone and Saturday morning hits. And she's like, why do I keep doing this? I have things I need to get done, but I can't do anything because I have the kids all weekend. So again, the sister says, I have these play tickets and I really need a break. Can you watch the kids? She pauses for a moment and says, you know, I really have some things I need to do. And the sister's like, but I already bought the tickets. I already spent the money. And so then she folds again. And now she's upset with herself yet another time because she couldn't open her mouth. Why? Because either she was afraid of the reaction or the response of her sister. She thought she was going to be ridiculed, or she thought she was going to be rejected. Those are some of the areas that stop people from setting boundaries. And so looking at that example, you have to be able to say no. Learning how to say no is so difficult. Why? Again, no one wants to be rejected. You know, you're fearful that they're not going to like you anymore. You're fearful that, you know, they're going to be upset, or they've wasted their money because now they can't go to whatever play or movie they want to go to. They, you know, they really are tired because they're a single parent or a single mom. I'm thinking about our example of the two sisters. And okay, that's true. However, I can't do it this time. And sticking to that. And once you said no, no matter how they beg, no matter how they cry, you can stick to your no and be okay with it. You know, be okay. So either you're going to be okay with the no, or you're going to have to be okay with not doing what you want to do, not getting your errands run, not cleaning your house, not doing something for your kids, or not going and getting that relaxing massage you wanted to go get, putting your stuff on the back burner. And holding people accountable is difficult, but we've got to learn how to do it. And on next Sunday, make sure that you tune in, because we're going to talk about ways that we can set boundaries in our lives, not the rigid boundaries that keep people out and don't give them any wiggle room to get in, you know, those boundaries that are stone, and not those type of boundaries. We're talking about clear boundaries, boundaries that keep still guard us. However, they're not those rigid ones that cause us to be offensive to other people on purpose. All right. And those happen, you know, because hurt happens in our lives. Disappointments happen in our lives. You know, we learn not to trust people because of their actions. So I'm not saying that you're just putting up rigid boundaries because you want to. No, when we begin to heal those areas in our lives, then we can put our guards down a little bit and have clear boundaries that we can voice, that we can hold people accountable to, so that our relationships can be healthy. Because I'm sure you've come in contact with someone who has set boundaries. You've asked them to do something for you, and they were like, oh, sorry, I can't do that this time. Boundaries set. They didn't have a problem telling you no. They didn't have a problem telling you, no, I can't go do that. I already have plans. I'm not able to do that. Or you've been in contact with someone that you've asked them to do something, and they said, well, you know, I can't do it right now, but if you give me till Thursday, I can get it done, if that's okay. And then you have to decide, okay, is that okay? If not, then you would say, okay, no, I really need it done tomorrow. So then I'll just have to make other arrangements. And then the relationship is still intact. Everybody communicated openly, clearly, you know, there's no wiggle room for anger or confusion, any of that. It was a clear conversation. So when I look at these areas of boundaries, it was very intriguing to me, because I knew about boundaries, but I wish I had known about boundaries back in my 20s, you know, understanding this whole idea of making sure that you're good. It's the idea of the airplane. When you go on the airplane, you make sure you're good with your oxygen mask before you help somebody else. You make sure you're secure, you know, before you can help somebody else. And so making sure that our boundaries are secure so that we're mentally and emotionally healthy in order to go into clear relationships with other people, to go into healthy relationships with others. When we bring a healthy us with another healthy person, then that's a beautiful relationship. It has challenges when broken people try to come together that really don't even know they're broken. Everyone, you know, we think we're okay. And then we find these broken areas in our lives. Why do we react a certain way? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? Why did I say that the way I said it? You know, why did you do this? It goes back to us and our boundaries. If I know that those things hurt me, when people say those things, I can't continue to let people hurt me and say those things. Okay. All right. So that was what we had for tonight. Oh, and then I explained that it's okay for whatever reaction they have, whether it's they're angry or they're upset. When we set the boundary and hold them accountable to the a boundary, it's okay for them to be upset. We don't want them to be upset, but if they are, it's okay. It's not going to manipulate me to change my mind. A temper tantrum will not cause me to go back and change my mind. That just shows me where the individual is at. Okay. All right. So next week, we'll be talking about ways to set boundaries, whether we've already been in this relationship or whether we're starting a new relationship. Getting those boundaries set and having those conversations will be key for us to move forward in our lives. So before we close out our time for this evening, I wanted to share a couple of things that we have going at Clear Thinking Counseling Services. We have, of course, our Clear Thinking series. This is a class that can be taken one-on-one with me, or if you have a group of friends who want to come together, we can do a group of up to 4 people that can take this class together. I do have a time set that will come together for those who register, which is Thursday, January 27th, February 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. Now, these are about an hour and a half weekly sessions that we'll have on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. The information, you can scan the QR code right there. It will take you right directly to the registration page, and you can register for that class. You can also go on my Facebook page, Clear Thinking Counseling Services, and you can message or you can click on the link, and then you can register for a one-on-one session as well. Also, on our Facebook page, you can find our 15-minute counseling sessions, counseling consultations, and those are absolutely free. You register for a time, and those are held on Thursday afternoon, I think starting at 11 o'clock until about 2:30. You can register for a time. You can pop on. We'll do 15 minutes of consultation to see where you are, to see if counseling will be a good idea for you. If you have a situation that you're trying to work through, we can work through as much as we can in that 15 minutes and give you some tips and some guidance in that area. And then also we have It's the Self-Love for Me weekend. I cannot wait. I'm excited, super excited about this time. It's a Friday and a Saturday, Friday evening. February 4th and February 5th, which is a Saturday, will come together. We'll look at some various areas. We'll have refreshments, we'll have some games and some icebreakers. We'll break out into different small groups, and then we'll have some whole group teaching that will go forth. I'm excited because I have some different women that will be joining us to share their testimony on a panel discussion, as well as to facilitate those small group sessions. So you don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss it. Invest in yourself. The weekend is $50. You can scan that QR code there as well. And so you can register yourself, bring a friend, be a mom, a daughter weekend, and come. Aunties and nieces, you can come. It's open to anyone, because we know that, during the month of February, it's all about couples and love and giving gifts to one another. And sometimes people feel excluded that aren't in a relationship right now, whether you're widowed, whether you're in a marriage, whether you're single, dating, engaged. You can come to this time and begin to learn how to love ourselves even more, beyond going to get a massage, beyond going to get our nails done and our toes done and to go and shop. Beyond those type of self-care activities, we really want to take some time to talk to other women, see how they're loving themselves emotionally, seeing how they're loving themselves mentally, and just begin to learn new tools and techniques, so that as we are in relationship or not, we can still go through those months where there are a couple focused and still have joy and still have peace. All right. So that's all we have for this evening. I'm excited for next week. Make sure that you tune in for part 3 of boundaries, where we will really dig into how do I set a boundary in my life. This has been happening. I've been letting people walk all over me. I've been allowing people to say things to me that are inappropriate. How can I start to set these boundaries in my life? All right. Well, I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield, and this is Clear Thinking Counseling Services. This is our YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you have not liked our Facebook page, go ahead and like our Facebook page as well as Instagram. We love to have you when we're sharing updates and sharing information. Make sure that you're connected so you know what's going on. All right. You all be blessed, and we'll talk to you all soon.